As always, Ted, kick us off. Who do you have as your winner of the weekend?
Well, I mean there was plenty of options, but I had to go with Ashton Jeanty. Um, I think he went from unknown to the Heisman favorite in a very short amount of time. A lot of that perhaps has to do with some people losing football games, but the dude is absolutely incredible. Backed it up this week with pretty easy little first half, 13 carries, 186 yards, three touchdowns. First carry of the game was like a 65-yard touchdown. Uh, just incredible. It's already tied the NCAA record for 70 plus yard touchdowns in a season. Um, he already broke 1,000 yards, tied the record in doing it in only 5 games. And I was looking at this. He's got, there's a lot of comparisons between Barry Sanders' season that he had and the season that you're seeing Jeanty have right now with Boise State. And let's see, Barry Sanders had 1,000 rushing yards on in his first 5 games with 130 carries. Ashton Jeanty's done it with 90, 40 fewer carries. That's just an incredible number, averaging over 10 yards per carry. It's crazy.
1,031 yards, 16 touchdowns, 10.9 yards per carry in 5 games, and he hasn't played in two of the second halves of those 5 games. 7 rushes of 60 or more yards.
Yeah. And I know there's people saying right now that, oh, well, yeah, but he hasn't played anyone, with the division that they're in. But they did. They played Oregon. And yes, they lost to Oregon, but he still had 25 carries, 192 yards, and three touchdowns. So, I mean, there's still that.
Him and Travis Hunter right now? Two guys at the top of the list for
Yeah,
the Heisman Trophy.
probably. Um, I
How about that? An award that I think a lot of people say, hey, goes to the best player or the best quarterback on the best team. And right now, the two guys at the top of the list are the running back for Boise State and a guy playing both ways for Colorado.
I know, I know. It's just college football's drunk this year, which is okay. It's a party and it's shaping up. Let's not forget we still have a 12-team playoff later, right?
It's going to be such
We're
a fun year.
we're 5 games in, 6 games in. It's crazy.
Genty is ridiculous. Hopefully, he continues to stay healthy and we get to keep watching him because he's kind of must see TV right now in
I
college
know.
football. Just ridiculously fun to watch.
He is, and he's got it all. Like he breakaway speed, but he runs through people. He's got the shiftiness, and he is a 100% do it all back. He's not like I mean, sometimes you've seen big bruisers, other times you've seen like kind of scat backs. Like, he is really the modern day do everything running back. It's fun to watch him, man.
Who do you have as your loser of the weekend?
I had to go with Oklahoma State. I mean, this was kind of it felt like after the two losses that they've taken, the tough one to Utah and then got beat down pretty good by K-State is like, okay, you're at home, West Virginia, this is a beatable football team. You need to win this home game or else things are maybe really start to fall apart on you. And West Virginia came in and just took it to them up and down the field on offense for West Virginia. And Oklahoma State had a hard time getting anything going.
That offense is a sad watch right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got one of the best backs in the country and they can't run the football. They just can't block anyone. And remember, Ollie Gordon left that game with an injury. We'll see, what his status is moving forward.
What'd
Mike
you
Gundy
think
after the
about the
game,
statement saying that uh, he should he should be
it
done?
I did not like that. I didn't think that was cool.
Yeah.
But it is, and he doesn't seem like a guy that would bail.
Right.
I mean, he could have gone a lot of different places, chose to stay at Oklahoma State. And I know I assume he's being compensated well, but I don't know. It seems like Oklahoma State means a lot to him. And if he can play, I think he'll play. But happy for our guy, Neil Brown. That's a big road win for the
Yeah.
Mountaineers. 3 straight losses for Oklahoma State. Gundy's got to make a change at quarterback, right? Just to try to change the mojo. I mean,
Yeah.
those fans were booing Alan Bowman on the first drive of the game, dude.
And what Rangel went in and found a little bit of success, but it's hard to say, I don't whatever they have to do to get Ollie Gordon going is really what the answer is. I
Right.
don't know if quarterback change makes that happen, if a redesign of some things makes that happen. I don't know, but your best player is not having a very good season, and I mean he had 13 for 50 yards. It's not good enough for what a lot of people thought was the best running back in the country coming back.
The offense is currently lifeless, and the defense isn't good either. Giving up, their tackling was horrible in that game, and they just continue to give up a big number of explosive plays.
Dude, I didn't watch the whole game. I went back and I watched the kind of like the extended breakdown of it that shows most of the big plays. And I just could not believe how good West Virginia was running the football against them. Gabe, 65 carries, 65 rushes for 389 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Hmm.
That is a defense's nightmare. 65 running plays. So, I mean, they snapped it 81 times and 65 of them were running plays, dude. That's crazy. And both quarterbacks, Garrett Green went down at one point, and the I don't know, Markiol or however you say it, he came in and he was running the football and threading the needle through a dime right down there in the red zone, like that little spear touchdown. I mean, everyone had it going for West Virginia.
The Big 12 is a mystery.
Yeah.
Currently, Texas Tech is 3-0 in Big 12 play. BYU, Iowa State, Colorado, and West Virginia are all 2-0. Everyone else has a loss in conference play. It's going to be utter madness in the Big 12.
That's wild. It's it's madness everywhere, I guess, as you look at it. Indiana's also leading the standings in the Big Ten, 3-0 in conference play.
Sure. Why not?
Throw that in there.
All right, let's finish up with my winner and loser. But first,
We are brought to you by HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. We all know home cooked meals are so much better for you, but you don't always have time to pull it off. But with HelloFresh handling all the meal planning, shopping, and most of the prep, it's easier than ever to get dinner on the table quick and painless. My wife and I made HelloFresh's pecan crusted chicken with honey mustard sauce and lemony apple salad. It's easy to make, healthy, delicious, easy instructions, and only takes 30 minutes. HelloFresh lets you easily customize your delivery from week to week, tailor everything to your schedule by adjusting your delivery date, or skip a week when you're not able to cook at home. Get 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/free OK breakdown. Applied across 7 boxes. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's 10 free HelloFresh meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/free OK breakdown.
and head to opolisclothing.com for our podcast merchandise and the best OU gear out there. That's OPOLIS clothing.com and use promo code TED, TED for 10% off. That's opolisclothing.com, promo code TED for 10% off. Buttery soft and 10% off. For my winner of the weekend, I'm going with Ole Miss. That was impressive.
Yeah.
That was, an impressive bounce back from the disappointment of last weekend. They went to Columbia and just they completely smacked South Carolina around 27-3. I Jackson Dart was okay in the game. Like he didn't do anything crazy, but this game was never close. Ted, South Carolina, especially in the first half, just killed itself. They had the fake punt.
Was that the first drive that they
Yeah,
tried that?
if you're gonna go for it on 4th and 1,
Just do it. Just line up and go for it.
just line up and go for it. They put Robbie Ashford in the game, fumbled the mesh point. Ole Miss went right down and scored. And both of those turnovers, Ole Miss goes right down the field and scores and cashes in off them. And then, Ole Miss's touchdown right before halftime is a result of a South Carolina wide receiver catching the ball on 3rd down and just falling down before he got the first down.
Yeah.
Ole Miss deserves credit. Every mistake that South Carolina made, it felt like in that first half, they made him pay for it. And I've got, I was impressed how Ole Miss handled the environment and how they bounced back. But South Carolina, they laid an absolute egg. That was a dud of a performance from the Gamecocks.
It wasn't good, and there's mistakes like scattered throughout. You mentioned the fake punt situation that backfired. Even on the drive that Ole Miss had before half, South Carolina gets a big sack. There's a holding call, and it's going to be 2nd 17, and Beamer accepts the penalty, and it's 1st and 20. I don't understand that. Number one, you take a sack away from your best player, but it changes the way that they call plays on the other side. You ask any offensive coordinator in the country, they'd rather have 1st and 20 than 2nd 17. It was weird. They had players doing stupid stuff. What was with the emptying the clip on the sack? How does that happen?
I I feel like you're seeing that
Everywhere.
everywhere. What is going on?
I
Like
have no
fake
idea.
shooting a machine gun at someone? Like what is happening? When did this
Fake
become a
shooting
thing?
a machine gun, and then the guy at Minnesota like pulls up his shirt like he's showing a gun in his waistband. Like, what is happening all of a sudden? Like everyone knows those are penalties. You can't, you cannot stand over the top of a guy, point a machine gun at him, and empty a clip. Like, in what world have you ever thought that you could get away with doing something like that? It's got to be one of the stupidest things I've ever seen in my life.
When did this become a thing?
I don't know. This week, apparently.
I I just feel like I've seen it multiple places throughout college football. I just don't understand when it became a thing.
I don't know.
I,
Wish I had an answer for you.
maybe I'm just old. Maybe we're not cool with the youths, but it's a very strange thing to do as a celebration on a football field.
Especially whenever you know very plainly, very clearly that it will get you a 15-yard penalty. There is not an exception. I guess if the officials totally blank and miss it and don't see it, you won't get a penalty. But if they see it, you're getting flagged 100% of the time.
Question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Should Army, Navy, and Air Force be allowed to do the machine gun celebration penalty because they serve the country?
Sure.
Should only the troops be allowed to do the machine gun celebration?
Absolutely. And you can even use it in recruiting. Like that, this week, you could do the machine gun celebration here in the service academies. Come on.
Army and Navy both 5-0. First time since 1945 they both started 5-0.
Army is really good. I
I
mean, I don't know. Obviously, their style, like whenever they get their style going, they are very difficult to beat.
Agreed. Speaking of very difficult, Let's get back to that Ole Miss win. That goal line package for Ole Miss is fun. Snapping it to a 325-pound defensive lineman.
Yeah. And it's tough too because like the formation, how they line up, I believe it was double tight. And then you've got the quarterback, and then you got a big guy here, and then you got two big guys on the other side, right? So whenever that formation, you've got to line up heavy to the side of the two guys, the two big guys, but they're all right there, and they go to the other side of the formation, and it's going to be hard to not be outnumbered. And you got so much size coming through there. It's difficult to say the least.
JJ Pegues showed some sweet feet on the second one, though.
I guess so. Just tiptoeing through there.
That was pretty. Hey, 2 rushes for 2 yards and 2 touchdowns. Hell of a
Hey,
stat
that's
line. You know what? He was also the guy that when they ran the fake punt, South Carolina ran the fake punt, he stuffed it. He was the
nice.
one that just completely blew up the guys that were trying to block him. So he had a very large impact in this football game. Quite the day for the big fella
Yeah,
for Ole
that,
Miss. But
that was nice.
I thought Ole Miss's defense they did a really good job of limiting chunk plays. I'm not sure how healthy Lenora Sellers was in this game, but he had one big run. And other than that, I don't think South Carolina had another play over 20 yards. It
Yeah.
was, I mean, the Gamecocks just couldn't find anything explosive offensively. It's it's sad when if you ask a South Carolina fan, like, what was the highlight of the game for you? I think a lot of those people would answer that Juice Wells fumbling through the end zone for a touchback was like the highlight of their day. Did
Probably so.
you see
Yeah.
Kiffin wearing the Judas Wells shirt after the game?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
That's
just
funny.
right up his alley. I wonder who got him that.
I don't know. That was I don't know. That was a big moment for you thought this was South Carolina had a decent little season going. Ole Miss was coming off of that home loss. Like if there was a chance for South Carolina to really insert themselves into the conversation, that was going to be it. And it was bad from the get. The failed fake punt just like kind of let us know what was going to happen the rest of the day.
For my loser of the weekend, thought about going with Cal. Oh my gosh. Hosted game day. The signs from the Cal people were amazing, by the way. But they had Miami, man. It just couldn't finish the job. Everyone wants to argue, was that targeting? Was it not? I'm not sure. I don't want a game to come down to whether it was targeting or not. The bottom line is Cal had a chance to finish the game and they just couldn't do it. And credit to Miami for finishing it out. But that was, I mean, Miami looked dead.
Dead. Yep.
To their credit, found a way. And somehow, these last couple weeks for Miami, somehow they're still undefeated. But Cal just let it slip away, Ted.
It was wild. They were moving the ball, just going up and down the field. They were running it. They had a good day through the air. They did give up quite a few sacks and tackles for loss behind the line of scrimmage, which, ended up being a part of their undoing late. But I mean, credit Miami finding a way to come back and keep themselves in it late, keep fighting. It looked I mean, they very easily could have just in a what was somewhat of a sleepy environment, late night, just laid down and let Cal take it, but they kept battling back.
Cal was up 38-18
Yeah.
in this football game. In the fourth quarter, that's when they kicked that field goal to go up 38-18. 14-13 left to go in the fourth. And that's
Crazy.
when I was laying in bed going, I think I can go to sleep now. I think this thing's over. Woke up, recorded the fourth quarter, woke up and watched it, was like, oh my gosh.
It was crazy. That has to be the record for longest time between the game day show and the football game. They were on different days, basically.
That's a good way of putting it. Poor Reese Davis was he. They called him in. I guess the guy that was supposed to do play by play had some type of emergency, and Reese
Oh,
Davis was battling like he was losing his voice. He was battling through it. It was I felt bad for him. That couldn't have been fun.
no. Tough duty. Long day of football.
No
Long
doubt.
day.
But my loser of the weekend, USC.
Hmm.
The Minnesota Golden Gophers knock off the Trojans 24-17. And I'm just going to be real. It was a fantastic football game.
It was.
Back and forth, extremely competitive. Ted, unless my eyes were fooling me, I thought these were two pretty evenly matched teams going at it. And maybe my eyes were just being fooled by how similar the color schemes were, but I was impressed with Minnesota.
Yeah.
I thought that they were really physical. Clearly had the home field advantage there, but at the end, it kind of looked like for the second week in a row that Minnesota may get screwed. 4th and 1 at I mean, it wasn't even the 1 yard line, the half-yard line. You got 2 feet to score a touchdown, maybe, and PJ Fleck says, I don't want to kick the field goal. We're running the QB sneak again. And they get it. But I
They
was
didn't
sitting
give
on
it
my
to him at first.
I was sitting on my couch going, how could you possibly not see that that was a touchdown? Like, how can you not rule that a touchdown
His
on the field? The guy
entire
is
like
all the way in the end zone.
yes. Yeah, that was wild.
I I don't know why that had to go to review, but it did. And eventually they got the call right. If they wouldn't have, I'm not sure what PJ Fleck would have done.
Yeah.
I That man he was fired up, but I loved the decision. I saw some people that were like, why don't you just kick the field goal there? And I think it's probably like a twofold answer, like analytics and then attitude. Man, I love that
Yeah.
he went for it, and I guarantee you his players did too.
Yeah. I get both sides of it. I was asking the question myself. You've got to go play defense anyways. Um, now, in college football, like what, there was like just under a minute, 55 ish seconds left on the clock. And I don't think USC had any timeouts left, right? Didn't they burn them all?
Yeah.
So that's still a lifetime in college football to get into field goal range. So if you're there, you're on the one, it's it's probably the best call, but I don't think it's by much actually. But if you can get it and you trust your guys, and which is not easy because they just got stuffed on the play before from it. So no, that's a big time call though. You got to go win those type of games. Like if you lay back and hope that the other team loses it, that's sometimes you're asking for trouble.
I thought it was as simple as, hey, we're at home. We got to get 2 feet. Let's go.
Yep.
Now, maybe there is some math to back up the decision, like the probability of them winning the game in regulation if they went for it in that moment. I'm sure it's greater than kicking the field goal right there. At least that's my assumption. But I loved the decision. It ends up working out for him when momentarily it looked like it did not. But ultimately, I think Minnesota's defense deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah.
I USC's offense didn't have a single pass play over 20 yards. Zachariah Branch, who is, I think, one of the most exciting players in the country, had 3 catches for 10 yards.
Mm.
And Miller Moss, he struggled against that Minnesota defense. And he is a guy that, it looked pretty sharp up to this point, and Minnesota affected to him, got him. He made some mistakes with the football. I thought that Golden Gophers defense was the difference in the football game.
Yeah, they played really well. Did a good job limiting all the explosive plays and turned them over a couple of times. The thing that I really loved is that running back number one from Minnesota is physical, man. He was running through like tackle after tackle, mowing people down, 25 carries for 144 yards. It was also cool seeing Marcus Major get some carries in that football game. Looked pretty good doing it. But you're right, that defense for Minnesota. I mean, say what you want about USC, but Lincoln Riley's offense typically finds a way to generate some big plays, put some points up, force people into more of a shootout style of a game, and they just couldn't get it done. You know what, they scored 10 in the first half, and that it was tied at 10, but you never really had the feeling that USC was going to break out.
Darius Taylor, number one, the running back from Minnesota, he kind of just looked like the best player on the field during the game.
Yeah, I
He was
agree.
running it, he was catching it out of the backfield, he was just making things happen. I love Minnesota's outside zone stuff. So fun for me to watch, just so satisfying for me to watch. But a great win for Minnesota, and now you look at USC. It's a 3-2 football team. They've got two Big Ten losses already to Michigan and Minnesota.
They got Penn State this week.
I and that loss to Michigan after Michigan went and lost to Washington. I don't think it's looking nearly as good as it did before this week. So just it's it's a great reminder of how quickly things can change in college football. After USC won that opener against LSU, it felt like there was all kinds of positivity and momentum around that program, and it has all vanished.
Yeah.
It's gone. It I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what the rest of the season looks like for the Trojans.
Yeah, like based off of how Minnesota played them and kind of Penn State style, you got to feel like that game is going to be very difficult to win, even though it is at home. And then they still got to go to what they got Rutgers, which is not an easy game. They're much better than they've been at Washington, Nebraska, like Notre Dame to end it. Like they don't, other than Penn State, no one is really like super scary, but they're all pretty much equal programs to where USC is right now. So you feel like they're all going to be kind of toss ups.
We'll see. See how it goes.